Welcome to the video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at one of the modes that's on this radio here. Now this is an FS-i6 radio, but you can get them from lots of different vendors, and in fact we have an entire series on the channel that looks at these radios from places like Hobby King, from places like eSheen on Banggood, and also the original FlySky one too. Now one of the things that we've been asked about on here is from She Prodigy, which asked us a really great question. And it's one of those things that when we were asked this, we said, of course we should have done a video on this already. So this is absolutely a subscriber request, and it's looking at something called fly mode. So let me just power up the radio and show you where this is on the screen. This is where fly mode is down here. Now by default it's turned off, and fly mode allows you to set a set of values that's sent to the flight controller that you're using and mix switches up here so that you can have multiple values. Now don't worry if that made absolutely no sense, I'll try and explain it. So in a normal flight controller, what you do is you have the normal 4 inputs to control your multicopter. So you have the throttle that goes up and down, which in this case is channel 3. Then we have the rudder, which in this case is channel 4. We have the elevator, which in this case is channel 2, and the aileron, which in this case is channel 1. Now in addition to that, for almost every multi-rotor that you're ever going to fly, the flight controller needs to be told how you want it to behave. Whether you want it to auto level, or whether you want it to have something called horizon mode, or angle, or rate mode, or acro, or if it's a GPS enabled flight controller, GPS hold, GPS return to home, circle mode, loads and loads and loads of different things. Now normally the way that you would do it is you would simply add one of the channels on the radio to one of the switches, and in fact that's exactly what we did in the quadcopter building for beginners series. We used one of these radios and we assigned channel 5 to be one of the 3 position switches, and that 3 position switch, when it was set up, then allowed us to control all of the different modes, or well, 3 modes anyway, in clean flight. And we set it up as angle mode, which is like a beginner mode. Then the middle position on that switch, we then set it up to be something called horizon mode, which is auto level in the middle but then kind of rate at the outside. And the last position of the switch was what's called rate mode, which is for more experienced pilots. But on this radio it has a pretty cool little feature, and it allows you to not only set that up nice and easily, but also to have the mode that you've got set up appear here on your screen. So let's imagine that we've got exactly that same situation. We have a clean flight based flight controller and we want to set up a 3 position switch so that we can select between 3 different flight modes. So what we need to do is go into fly mode, we need to turn it on, and then we need to select the switches that we want to use. Now let me just turn the second switch off for the moment, don't worry about that for the moment. So switch 1, we want to be switch B, so this is switch A, switch B. Switch B is a 3 position switch, and if I now move that 3 position switch, and again we can select whichever one we want, we just have to have switch B selected. You see here it's going mode 1, mode 2 and mode 3. Now what you can do here is you can actually then change the name of those each individual modes, and also the value of channel 5, because you can pick whichever channel you want sent to the flight controller. So we might have here that mode 1, we want that as go down and say that's 1100 for mode 1. Let's say we know what we're going to call mode 1. Mode 1 is going to be angle. Okay, then in position 2, flick that switch, there we are, we're mode 2. We're going to say, actually this is going to be, we'll set this up in clean flight to be horizon mode. So in fact we can't quite get enough there, we're only allowed 6 names, so we'll call it horizon. And the third position, there we go, maybe this is going to be rate mode in clean flight. So what we'll do is we'll say that rate mode is going to be 1800, horizon's going to be 1500, and angle mode is going to be 1100. So those are the PWM values that's going to go to the flight controller on channel 5 that then the other end will set clean flight to. So if we go back to the main screen, you can see here now it says angle mode at the top position with the PWM value, middle position is horizon, and the bottom position is rate. And what we do is we go into clean flight, and for those 3 positions we set up clean flight so that it's exactly the same modes on that end as well. And if you don't understand what we've just done, then go and have a look at that quadcopter for building for beginners video where we go through and set that up. Now the real power with this comes is that you can actually combine 2 separate switches together. Now this at the moment has all been done on switch 1, which is this 3 position switch up here, but we can mix it, a 3 position switch and a 2 position switch, to give us 6 positions, or we can put the 2 3 position switches together to give us up to 9. So if we said that the second switch was going to be this one here, which is switch D, then now what we have is we have switch B and switch D working together. So switch 1 is going to give us mode 1, mode 4 and mode 5, unless switch D is in that position, which will give us mode 1, mode 3 and mode 6. Now that's a little bit confusing for me because it means that you have to remember which position is going to be which, but it meant that you can have 6 flight modes with a combination of these switches. Now, where would you use 6 flight modes? Well, if you look at things like the APM and the Pixhawk videos, those kind of flight controllers allow you to have 6 flight modes, and you could actually, with things like clean flight and beta flight, have up to 6 flight modes as well. What you do is you make sure that flight mode 1 is 1100, flight mode 4 might be, I don't know, 1600, flight mode 5 might be 1700. We're just trying to get all the numbers different here. And then we've got mode 2. I'm trying to keep these numbers in my head as I'm doing it. There we go. That hopefully should work. So if I come back out here, you can see now that we've got mode 1 is angle 1100. Flicking this button here goes to mode 2, which is horizon at 1300. Mode 3, then it's the middle position, which is rate. Mode 4, this one goes back up to select mode 4, which is now 1600. Mode 5 is now the switches in this position. Mode 6 is both switches down, so it's almost like a little binary counter. And you can also mix the 3 switches together if you want to get really crazy, and you can have both the 3 position switches, which are these 2, and now we can have up to 9 different modes. So that's mode 1, mode 2, mode 3, mode 4, mode 5, mode 6, mode 7, mode 8, and mode 9. And what you do is you just check the PWM value for each of those individual ones. So that's what fly mode is. Rather than just having to create a simple 3 position switch on one of the channels to control the flight modes on your flight controller, this is a really cute way to either use one single switch and have the name of the flight mode shown on the front of the screen, or you can mix switches together to have up to 9 separate flight modes available through a combination of the switches at the top. That's the kind of stuff that much more expensive radios make you really work at, and we're using mixes in order to be able to put together. So hopefully, sheer prodigy, that answers the question for you. That's what it does, and that's how you use it. Thank you for taking the time to watch that video. There are lots of other videos on the channel, and they're carefully ordered into playlists, so you may find that there are other videos on this same subject that you can go and watch. So I would recommend going into the playlist area of Painless 360 YouTube channel and looking around and seeing what there is. You never know what you might find. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and happy flying.